pilot of a small plane is in trouble. His flight instruments indicate that his landing gear is malfunctioning. With only 2 of the plane's 3 wheels down, he knows he is facing a potentially deadly crash landing. The pilot radios to the airport tower. Now he can only circle the airfield and hope his friends can come up with a rescue plan. The pilot is Scott Gordon from St. Augustine, Florida. Scott grew up around planes. His love of flying came from his father, who was a decorated World War II pilot, and often performed with biplanes in local air shows. Almost as soon as Scott could walk, he wanted to fly, and he did. Scott became a commercial jet airline pilot. He learned to fly at the St. Augustine St. Johns County Airport. Ironically, it is at this same airfield that he now finds himself trapped in the sky, unable to land. With a limited fuel supply, Scott is in the predicament of his life. On the ground, airport owner Jim Moser calls airplane mechanic Joe Lippo.
Jim called me and said, Scott's having trouble with the gear. He flew by the terminal real low so we could see that only one leg was hanging out. The gear would start to come out of the well and it would stop, and he wouldn't go any further than that.
Jim Moser radios to Scott, confirming the right undercarriage appears to be hung up. Scott will not be able to land the plane without serious risk to the aircraft and himself. A belly landing can sometimes be performed without injury, but there are no guarantees. Scott knows that his fuel will soon run out, but Jim Moser comes up with a wild plan. They will tow a flatbed trailer with a pickup truck down the runway, so Scott can land his plane using the flatbed to support the wing.
I'm just going to see how fast this truck will go, and you go ahead and load the main and the nose and see what it feels like to do one.
They attach the flatbed to the pickup and begin to drive it at maximum speed down the runway. It's a dangerous plan for everyone involved. Scott will have to match speeds with the truck, slowing his plane down to a dangerously low speed. He risks stalling his plane and losing lift. The truck's speed is capping out at 75 miles per hour. That speed is far too slow for the single-engine plane. The landing attempt is aborted, and time is running out. Fire and rescue crews arrive on the scene and prepare for the worst. Jim Moser and Joe Lippo devise an even bolder plan. It's a long shot, but at least it's a chance to save their friend.
I said, hey, have him come by again, I'll reach out and pull it down, because that one time he came by the truck, he was just right there. The wheel was right there.
Joe Lippo will try to pull the disabled landing gear down by hand.
We had discussed if something gets hairy or it gets too close or, you think it's going to hit you, just fall right back down into the sunroof of the car.
Jim gets behind the wheel of a faster Audi Turbo. Lippo positions himself out of the sunroof. They accelerate down the runway, reaching speeds up to 90 miles per hour. Now Scott must try to align his plane with the speeding car. The wheel releases. It drops from its carriage with the force of its weight.
I was pretty excited, and the only thing I could do was just bang on top of the car. The level of adrenaline was so high that I banged a little harder than I thought I did, and I did it at the top of the car.
When the wheel falls into position, the third gear indicator lights up. Scott pulls up and prepares for a normal landing. He returns safely, to the relief of everyone.
Oh, man. You were the best, Doc. Well, I've gotten we need to try that one.
I realized Joe was right underneath me in the car, and I knew I didn't want to. If anything, I was going to err on the cautious side and be a little bit high than, be too low. I was just, real alert, very careful. Adrenaline was flowing. I was just kind of keeping the airplane as level as possible.
The airplane just settled perfect. It just settled right to where I could get my hands around the top of the tire, and I thought this is my only chance, so I yanked it for everything I had.
It was a little crazy, but yeah, he's a pretty brave guy. I don't know if I'd have the courage to get up and underneath an airplane like that.
Once Scott is safely on the ground, the team inspects the wheel. They discover that a clamp on the undercarriage has shifted slightly. Because the undercarriage fits so tightly into its compartment, the loose clamp caused the wheel to stick and prevented it from being released. Scott and mechanic Joe Lippo determined that only a pre-flight checkout with a microscope could have caught this problem. It was truly a 1 in a million occurrence, and one that should not worry commercial airline passengers. Larger aircraft use hydraulic systems to push an undercarriage down so that they cannot become stuck in this way. But this incident has not dampened Scott Gordon's enthusiasm for flying small planes. He will always remember how he and his friends turned this potentially deadly situation into a spectacularly successful rescue.